Hey everyone, welcome to the Amplify Digest. I'm your host, Lars Schmidt, and each week I break down 5 of the top resources in all things people in 5 minutes or less. So let's dig right in. I want to open with this really interesting piece by Vizier about the 100-year history of human resources. And it's a fascinating look at the origins of HR, some of the pivotal moments in the field over the last 100 years, and really how the field kind of evolved from a very compliance policy and procedure type function to something much more vibrant that we're experiencing today. So again, especially for those of you that are interested in history and evolution, this piece is worth your time. The next article I want to flag for you is actually not an article at all. It's a resource. It's a template. This was created by Sinnington over at Coda, and it is a much better way to put together layoff lists. So, many of you who work in HR or recruiting or really elsewhere over the last couple of years have seen layoff lists where companies who do have layoffs, they ask their employees if they'd like to opt into creating a list of the employees' LinkedIn profiles, what their interests are, etc., that they can promote out to recruiting to help them land on their feet. And usually that's built in Google Sheets or some document like that. And this is a really beautiful and kind of well-coordinated way of organizing all of those resources. You can segment the fields. You can review it in different ways. It creates a dashboard. So again, an open source free template that is definitely worth your time, particularly if you in your organization are going through any periods of reduction. This is the template you want to use. This is a really interesting piece from Erica Pandy over at Axios, talking about the silver lining for HR. And it gets into some Gartner data around really some of the insights behind employees' interests in looking for a new job. And one of the interesting statistics is 1/3 of the employees surveyed actually looked internally before looking externally. And so we talk about the great, whatever you want to call it, all this movement that's happening right now. But, a lot of people who are looking to do something new, they'd ideally like to do it within your company. And so, again, I think this is a big opportunity for HR and people operations to create more of those internal mobility programs to help you retain talent and, frankly, attract new talent in if they can see those different career paths that might be available to them. I also want to flag this new candidate experience report from my friends over at Greenhouse. So this goes through a tremendous amount of data, and it gets into some specific insights around candidate experience, including this stat that should surprise nobody. 84% of survey respondents expect to be looking for a new job within the next 6 months. So this period of transition continues, but Greenhouse reports are always packed full of data, and this one is no exception. And this was an interesting article by Time talking about the elevation of the CHRO role and, frankly, the HR department. I was fortunate to be able to contribute to this piece along with a few friends like Tiffany Stevenson and Steve Brown. But it's an interesting look at how the pandemic has really elevated the field of HR and, more specifically, the role of a CHRO or chief people officer, head of people, whoever it is that's running that particular team. So good article, worth your time. And again, just another indicator of what is happening with the field, the importance of HR really being kind of brought into the mainstream at the executive level and the board level as we continue to help our organizations navigate through all this turmoil. And the last thing I want to leave you with today is a podcast from this week on redefining HR. This is a really fun conversation with Joseph Ifeagbu. He is the co-founder and CEO of Equitable. And it was a really interesting conversation about his path from soccer to data analytics and data science to people science to now creating and building a platform aimed at helping organizations make better decisions with data. So you can listen to that on the links for all these articles and more on the blog post. And that's a wrap for this week. So in the meantime, take care of yourselves and take care of each other. And I will see you next week.